Greetings, everybody. My name is David Duford of Final Expense Agent Mentor at feagentmentor.com. Today we're speaking with one of my agents. His name is Michael. He lives in Tennessee. Michael in Tennessee is a Medicare agent who has an existing book of business and has had great success in working that existing book of business and turning it into final expense business. And what my concept and idea of doing this interview was target those Medicare agents out there and show them ways on how to cross-sell and build value into existing customers, how to do it in a way that can help them profit more from their existing book of business without having the prospect cold. And so now I'm going to go ahead and have Michael introduce himself. How are you doing today, Michael?
Good. How are you doing, David?
Doing great, and just want you to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided, I guess, to get into the Medicare.
Sure. 37 years old. I've been in insurance now for approximately 3 years. It started out in the Medicare Advantage, had a lot of success with that, and just realized I was leaving some opportunity on the table, and also the way that the funding has changed in some of the marketing strategies. I was struggling and was looking into some other opportunities, and final expense is what I got into. I was actually training horses for 18 years before I got into insurance, so big transition for me, but it's went well.
Good. And let's kind of talk about, your decision to cross-sell. There's a lot of Medicare agents out there who've experienced some changes with just the general shifts in the industry. And many of them are looking for ways to find more profit where they can. And as many business and salespeople know, your existing book of customers are usually the best source of cross-selling and finding more sales opportunities. So what many Medicare agents would probably want to know is, why did you decide to cross-sell final expense insurance as opposed to annuities or long-term care or that kind of thing?
Well, one reason I decided that is it's your same demographic oftentimes. The people who you're selling Medicare Advantage to, a great percentage of those are also going to be someone who'd be interested in final expense. And so originally, with Medicare Advantage, I was knocking it out of the park and had a marketing set up that provided me with a lot of leads and people. Some of the funding changed with some of the companies, and that dried up, and so I was starting to dry up, and I'm sitting there going, well, I got to find a way to get in front of people. Well, then this light bulb goes off. Hey, I've already got a large book of business. I don't need leads right now if I could just find something else. So I got lucky, blessed, however you want to call it, that I ran into David, and, I thought I knew how to sell final expense just because I've heard enough, and, it can't be that hard. We ended over with that because, hey, I waited too long to make the transition, didn't have a lot of extra money to buy leads by the time I'd waited, so didn't need to buy any. I had a whole book of business right there. And so there's two things. Number one, you get opportunity to make yourself touch base with your client and, lock in that relationship that you already got business with them. And then number two, bring the final expense conversation up and try to meet with them over that. And so for the last 3 months, I've done really well without spending any money.
And a lot of Medicare agents, that have focused on selling Medicare Advantage that don't have life insurance experiences, many people have the same perspective you do when they get involved in the final expense, is that it's a simple product. You just go in there and you sell it. And for some part of that is true, and that is one of the appeals, is you can go in there and you can sell a burial plan, and then within the week you can get paid on it after it's approved. But as you found out, it's a little bit more complicated than that, in the sense that what many Medicare agents don't know looking into this is that underwriting can differ dramatically between carriers. And on top of that, there's just a lot of bad business out there where agents have what we term clean sheet an application, which basically means they did not truthfully fill out the application. And a lot of people have overpriced life insurance and things like that, where, I guess looking from the outside in, there's a lot more opportunity to sell a life insurance policy than meets the eye. So what I was hoping you could do, Michael, is kind of describe the process of working with me and where you found the benefit as far as increasing the number of sales you were able to make versus maybe what you think you'd be able to do on your own.
Okay, so what my original thought process was is I've been through all this Medicare Advantage training, and it's challenging to know all the ins and outs and all the rules and all of that kind of thing. And so I had the mindset, hey, if I can do that, I can go in there and sell a burial policy. That ought to be easy. Well, in one sense, it is easy, but the thing that I realized and learned very quickly is it's not just walking in there and selling them a final expense policy. You, number one, have to do what's best for the program that's going to give them the soonest coverage if they've got health issues, also the cheapest coverage. And you're able to do that, or when you're able to do that, not only are you doing right by your clients, you also you're going to solidify your business, because if you already got them in the best that they're qualified for, the next agent can't come by and steal it from you. And I didn't know that until I met David, and he taught me and was very accessible. It just is as simple as this. You go in there and there's other business on the table. You're sitting there and they've already got final expense, and he showed me a way to make sure that they were in the appropriate plan. And many times, because of the way the previous agent answered the question, or the company or the carrier they're with, they may think they have immediate coverage and they have no coverage because they're in a waiting period. And we're able to change, bring that to light and gain business that way. And there's no way in the world I could have known how to do that. I'm going to say, of the business I've written, I might have written a fourth of it by myself without a mentor or a person like David to guide me in the right way, because it's not just walk in and, here it is, you need 10,000 coverage and it's going to cost you, $50 a month. It's not that simple. It's easy in the fact that you don't have to deal with all the regulations and all the hoops to jump through, but there's some details that working with David makes it easier. And it's not one of these deals to whereas you get on here and some guy's saying, yeah, we'll take care of you, we'll support you, we'll teach you. This guy, there's no doubt, if he can't answer immediately, I get a call back very rapidly as soon as he can, if he's in the field or whatever. And that's huge. I know this is a interview to discuss the benefits of it, but I'm going to tell you, I looked into several opportunities, and I can't imagine anyone being more supportive than what he is, and that's just a fact. I'm not, tooting his horn for him. I'm just telling you guys out there the facts. And there's a lot. If you're a Medicare agent or anybody else, there's money to be made, and if you are a Medicare agent and you've got a book, it's sitting right there waiting on you. All you got to do is go get it.
I appreciate the kind words, Michael. That's very, very nice of you to say. Yeah, the final expense business is funny. There's a great agent that I've known for a while. His name is John. He lives in Kentucky, and his little saying is, final expense is simple, but it's not easy. And as you get into this business more and more, you realize that it's a simple concept. You talk to people, it's a numbers game in a sense. You have to see the people, no doubt. However, it's not easy because of those people you see, you have a lot of factors that you have to hope are in your control, which many times aren't. For example, sometimes you have health factors, you have timing factors. Do they have existing coverage? And one of the things that I try to focus on with my agents is the best person to sell a policy to is the guy that's already paying the premium. And what that means is the person who owns a life insurance policy is the best prospect. You don't have to sell them on why you need a life insurance policy. They get it. They're already paying the premium. And like I said earlier, and as you've experienced, there's a lot of people who get it, who understand it, who are paying monthly for a premium on their life insurance policy, but they either have insufficient coverage, they have inferior coverage, or they just don't understand exactly what they have. And
Yeah.
a lot of the times, like you've probably experienced, if you didn't have the knowledge base of knowing where to look and identifying, the downsides to whatever existing coverage is out there that you see when you visit your clients, you would have passed up probably on thousands and thousands. And so,
oh, yes, 3/4 of the business I've written, I would have went right past them because
yeah.
I wouldn't have known that they had insufficient coverage. I had to learn that from you, and 1/4 of them just are automatic, because if you can add 2 plus 2, you can figure those out. But the other 3/4, and that's where the real money's at, is identifying insufficient coverage or what other problems are out there.
Right, and that comes with, that's why I think the life insurance business is much akin to the old guilds or even apprenticeships. I think that's how this business should be learned, because anybody can go out there and get a life insurance contract and start writing business, but they don't know the nuances. Most agents don't know the nuances of, again, identifying what you could define as inferior coverage and then providing a solution that not only improves a lot of the customer, but also helps you profit tremendously. So what I wanted to ask on you is to kind of get specific with that, because I know you've run into a couple of cases where you've been able to identify through the process of reviewing the existing customer's policy where there have been basically what I termed earlier, clean sheeting going on. Can you go ahead and identify or kind of explain a case, maybe two, where you were able to go into a home, review a policy, and show the customer that their existing coverage actually didn't cover them, and kind of then detail how did the customer respond and what was the outcome?
Oh, yes. One example right off the bat I'm thinking of is a couple that I had. Both of them were in my book of business for Medicare Advantage, and we did a review, and they had two different final expense policies, and I reviewed the wife's first, and hers was actually accurate and good, and the husband, he had a different agent, a different carrier, and we looked at it, and I had been asking him health questions to try to identify, his need, and it was just really obvious on about the third section down that he had answered no, or the agent had answered no to a question that was an obvious yes. I forgot now if it was, I think it was a condition that happened to him in the last 2 years or something. Anyway, it was just very contestable, and basically he didn't have any insurance. And once I was able to explain that to him, of course he wasn't very happy with his previous agent, and I said, the guy could have, done it out of ignorance or not knowing, or he may have done it on purpose, but the fact is, you're not in the right program. And I said, let's look at this, let's answer the questions the right way. And when we got through, he had the same amount of coverage instead of having a contestable product. He had one that was day one coverage. He did end up paying $2 more per month to have the right one, but he was happy. He was like, well, rewrite my wife's. No, hers is fine. And so items like that, and I'll note this too right quick. David and me both have talked about this at length. This is a business you can easily screw over with, for lack of a better word, people you're meeting with. And we don't do that. I don't do it. David don't do it. And the thing is, I've had opportunities whereas I'm looking at things, and you're going to look at people's policy sometimes, and they're in the right thing. And I look at them and I say, sir, somebody did great with you. You got the right thing, and I'll shake hands and leave, and they'll be like, before I leave, they'll go, man, you're an honest guy. I'll end up getting more referrals from being honest and doing it the right way, no matter what. And then when you see that somebody has a problem, make sure you run through fire or whatever you got to do to make them understand that they need help. This isn't right. So it balances out, and I'm trying to think of another example, but there are places out there, and you see it on at least every couple of days, you're going to see what David calls clean-sheeted business, where the agent just starts answering no to all the health questions and turns it in. And, you know, guess what? If they die in that contestability period, they're out. And that's terrible. So that's part of, or a major element of, working with David, is he's helping me identify where something, you know, you're sitting there going, well, this looks fine. And he goes, no. What was that question again? And we find out it's not right. So more and more, you know, I've been doing 3 months with him now, and so more and more I'm able to figure this out on my own, but early on. And still, he's right there when I need him, and I cannot imagine, and not overdoing it, it's just facts, I can't imagine anybody being more helpful than what David has been. There's no doubt.
Thank you again. Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's my point is that you can't look at things just at first glance as a final expense agent. It's a simple process. It's a one-call close. That's really the most very appealing thing for agents coming in, probably including Medicare agents, because you don't have to wait to get paid. You get in there, you make the deal, and usually within the week you get paid your percentage of whatever you're getting advanced. But the other thing that Medicare agents should know too as well is that, again, me being I know a little bit about Medicare, but in the final expense business, what you have to understand is what Michael has described here, where he's gone in and he's able to replace existing policies. These are probably agents that just don't know any different, and they have limited options, and they honestly did the best they can, or they were just, obviously there's a few mistakes made. But my point is this, is that the final expense business is incredibly competitive, and it's becoming more so. Agents like Michael who have decided to come into this business have done so for the reasons that a lot are. The Medicare Advantage business is getting tougher to sell in. There's more red tape. The healthcare business is all but gone. And there's many agents that have been doing this thing for a long time, and they're looking for an avenue that has some opportunity. And final expense just has a lot of advantages. It's a quick turnaround. You get paid quickly. It's a numbers game. People sometimes prefer to talk to seniors than chasing younger people. And you have the ability to work normal hours. You don't have to work the kitchen table all the time until 10 o'clock at night, 5 days a week. So there's a lot of advantages. But with that comes the competition, which is what I was mentioning earlier. I always tell my agent, when you get involved in this business, you have pretty much a guarantee that when you sell a policy, there's going to be another agent within that same home talking to your client within the next 6 to 12 months. And it's because there's just agents everywhere now. And part of making sure that your policies don't get replaced, because understand that the sale is made based on not only it being competitive, but also the trust that the person has for the agent. But don't underestimate the fact that many of these people are on a fixed income. All it takes is a blown out tire or a transmission exploding or some thing that happens that costs money to motivate these people to start looking around and possibly consider dicing up their current insurance to save a couple of bucks. It does happen, not with everybody, but it does happen. Here's my point. As an agent that sells final expense with considerable effort, you always have to make the best case effort to sell the most competitive premium. And what you have to understand, to do that, you can't carry one company. I don't even think you could carry 2 or 3. Maybe to get started you should, just to learn the companies and the process. But ultimately, the way to be successful and retain business on the books in this business is not only to be a good salesperson and develop a relationship, but also to have the most competitive carriers to handle the underwriting situations, which inevitably not only keeps your business on more, but allows you to sell more. And that's kind of what we do in the mentorship program. We have access to the most competitive carriers so that when you get in front of your clients, not only can you sell them a competitive product, but you also can sell them the right one. Many of the policies Michael replaced were graded plans. They only offered partial coverage, or they were return of premium plans where there was no coverage for the first 2 years. And so what Michael was able to do was identify the underwriting questions or the health conditions of the applicant and find the carrier based on the questions answered, which one would work the best and improve their lot. Again, many of these people are already paying for coverage or have been approached but couldn't be placed because they couldn't do because of price.
I just wanted to interject a comment while he's on this topic. Obviously, the point is you get your client in the most immediate coverage where there's no waiting period or very little waiting period, depending on their health, and you're getting them in the best product that's out there, period, at the best price that's out there, period, because the next guy that comes in, if he's got one just a notch better, somebody on a fixed income, $3 a month, they're going to switch. Not only that, think about it. If you've been in the telemarketing or the lead drop business, the person that lets you in to talk to them, they're the same people that's going to let the next guy in to talk to them. So, if you had some magic way of getting into homes where it was hard to get into, or allow you an opportunity, and nobody else had that magic bullet, then that'd be one thing, but that's not the case. The same person that lets you in is the same person that's going to let the next guy in, and so that's even more reason to get it right while you're there, and David's able to teach that, and he has access to all the top carriers, so there's really no stone left unturned. But
well, thank you. I appreciate that, Michael. Yeah, that's some good points there, especially about it's just a fact of life that, we deal with seniors, and many of which don't have social interaction as much as they used to. And we're dealing with a generation that's a little bit more open to talking to salespeople and a little bit more social than maybe the younger generation. So you do have to take that, and Michael's point is you have to take all of that into account when you're out there selling this, is that it's deceptively simple. And, sure, they like you, and sure, you have a relationship, but, some of these people, believe it or not, are making $700, $800, $900 a month. And when something bad happens, you're on the chopping block if you rip them off. There's carriers out there, for example, Lincoln Heritage is one, where their pricing is specifically designed to be the premium, high-priced life insurance in the business. Trust me, it doesn't matter what gimmicks you sell. Those guys get replaced like it's going out of style. And only because these agents don't have the right tools to replace or to sell in the first place the most competitive and properly priced plan. And so my point is you got to go into this with that understanding, and part of that is knowing which carriers to choose, and then on top of that, knowing which ones of those carriers that you're contracted with to pick for that particular situation. So let's move on to how exactly Michael was able to approach this as far as working his book of business. What I'm hoping you could do, Michael, is just briefly describe or to discuss burial insurance, kind of what the general reception was with your existing book of Medicare clients, and then just to conclude there, kind of tell us what your overall results have been as far as closing ratio, total annual premium sold.
Okay. When I started calling my existing book. Of course, you have to be careful and not violate any Medicare rules, but I was calling to check on my clients and just do a review, so to speak, make sure everything was going good, touch base with them, and then bring up the final expense topic just to see if they'd like a review on that, or, not really a big high pressure here, I'm coming to sell you life insurance. It's just more like, I'm going to be in the area. We can come review that and look at your Medicare stuff. We'll see that everything's in order for you. And of my book of business, probably a fourth of those were, I guess you would say, the cream that rose to the top. A fourth of them were like, yeah, come on out. It was any question about it. Come on out. Let's see what I've got. We didn't have that discussion when you were here before. And I've been through that part of it. I've already, went through that cream that rose to the top, but I am going to revisit. That's probably 25% of them. I'm going to revisit the other percentage, the rest of them, to see if any more pop out. But for now, I've gotten to see those, and out of that 25% of my clients, I'm going to say that I've closed 75 to 80% of those, which was great. It due to the fact that I stayed on the Medicare Advantage boat about 5-6 months too long, thinking, I was killing it before, things are going to get better, and just waiting on somebody else. Anyway, what I'm saying is, the amount of money I made in the last 2 to 3 months has saved me completely. I mean, I just wish I'd started it at the beginning of the year rather than on down into the year. But the income's been great. I've probably over a 10-week period sold $25,000 in annualized premium. That's a rough estimate. It may be a little more, but it's definitely not less. And it's been great. And I'm going to go back through some more of my clients just to make sure there's no stragglers that are interested in talking about it. And it's not a high-pressure thing. It's just, hey, how's it going? Let's talk. And you're getting an opportunity, whether you sell them or not, you're getting an opportunity to reconnect with them. And I know as Medicare Advantage agents, we're not good at checking on our customers, and this is a way that's going to make us do that. And number one, it's going to lock in your business right here before AEP, and number two, you get to find out, just who is interested in speaking with you about doing a final expense review. And any advice I would have would be, whether you're loaded or got some money or you're running low, any of the three, you start out by working your Medicare book, put back a little for leads, and then when you get kind of work through that, you already got your little nest egg for leads, and that's where I'm at. I'm making my first order now, but all those numbers I gave you were based on me spending $0 on leads, and that's a huge way to get yourself jump-started if you're making that pivot. And am I still going to sell Medicare Advantage? But don't think I'm not going to have this on my mind when I make them my customer, because it's once you learn some of the things we've been discussing, it becomes a whole lot easier business, and your paycheck looks a lot better too.
So yeah, and what Michael identified there is the ability to go back and meet with the people you talked to and sold the policy to. What many of us realize, but we don't. And I'll be the first to admit I'm not the best at doing this either, and I'm trying to improve that, is that building relationships is what building a business is all about. As you stay in touch with the people you sold to originally, first of all, the person who's bought from you once is more likely to buy from you again because they trust you, number one. And then number two, when you first make a sale, in a sense of what value that customer is to you, if one sale is a transaction, just like going to Walmart and buying groceries. It's a one-time transaction. It's not necessarily a client, because I define a customer as somebody that you just have a transactional relationship with. It's here's the goods, take your money kind of thing. When you have a relationship with a client, term client means somebody that you protect. That's the textbook definition of client. Somebody that's under your guard, somebody that you take care of. And with multiple policies sold into an existing account, family, an existing house, first of all, your persistency jumps through the roof. You're going to have more people stick on with you, or if there comes a time when they have to switch providers, say in the Medicare business, they're going to call you and want to do business with you because you've sold them a Medicare plan, you sold them a final expense plan. Maybe you've replaced something that they didn't know was inferior. And these things are what builds a business. These people like you more, they buy from you more, and they refer more. And so having the ability to come in and specifically concentrate on cross-selling, even if you don't even sell them something, the fact that you've come out there and you've reviewed things with them, just making another touch or another contact with them endears them more to you. And it gives you the opportunity, again, to build out your business and keep the people that you sell longer. And so it's just a wise thing to do, really, in any sort of line or niche in the insurance business. But in relations to Medicare, it just makes a lot of sense. Many of the people in the Advantage business, I'm sure, are more of the lower income types. Not all of them, of course. But everybody's going to die, and this is such a mass market sales opportunity. So many people out there, which I'm sure Michael, like you said, didn't realize it till he did it. So many people have inferior coverage. If you can just get out there and talk to these people that already are literally waiting by the phone for you to call, you'll be surprised at what you run across and what you're able to do, really, in a non-threatening, easy manner.
Oh, yeah, casual conversation. One thing I want to add, too, we've mentioned Medicare Advantage the whole time. I also do quite a few Medicare supplements. And guess what? If you go in there and you're either rewriting an existing client on a cheaper Plan F or whatever they have, and you've saved them, $40 a month, or you're meeting somebody new and they want a supplement because theirs has gone up and you save them $70 a month because it happens. Well, guess what? You've just freed up some money to make sure that they've got enough life insurance or add to what they have. And the largest deal I wrote so far was from that very type thing. And then I've written four cases like that where I saved money on their supplemental plan, freed up money, and they said, I've always wanted just a little more life insurance. Well, guess what? You can afford it now. And the largest one I wrote was directly from that, where it was an older couple, and they had a term policy that was running out, and they didn't realize it, and their supplement was well over $200. Well, me and both of them were elated when I left there, to say the least. So it's just another that's just another example right there. So,
as Ben Feldman, the legendary life insurance agent at New York Life, said, you got to find the premium. Ben Feldman he held Guinness World Book records of volume of premiums sold, volume of coverage sold back in, I think, the 60s and 70s. Don't quote me, it's about accurate, somewhere in there. But the idea was he would share a concept with the client or a prospect, and a lot of these prospects would be interested, but they would explain that they just didn't have the ability to finance or to pay the premium. And so Ben routinely tell his agents or the agents that he would speak to at conferences that you got to find the premium. And absolutely, this is a perfect example of that. We have been talking, or I have, about Medicare Advantage, but Medicare Supplements, they're usually skew a little higher income than Medicare Advantage in my experience, but they have life insurance needs too. Not all of them will, but, some of them are going to be really appreciative when, if you go back to review a client, or if you're out in AEP and you run across one who wants a replacement, and you free up $40 or $50, which is definitely doable if you sell them a lower priced F or a Plan G. That money right there is reason to show them a final expense plan. And maybe you can sell them, a $10,000 plan, or at least get them to bring out their existing coverage to review it. The fact that you're already doing this activity now is going to help you sell more life insurance if you're not already. So, Michael, to conclude our conversation today, and I appreciate you've been very candid in describing the experience, and I appreciate the kind words. I'd like you to just describe the top 3 benefits of working with me at FE Agent Mentor. What would you tell the Medicare agents that are out there who are maybe listening to this that see the benefits of it? What would you say would be the 3 main reasons that would be a benefit to them?
Yeah, okay. Well, number 1 would be that good old dollar bill. That would be number 1, because that's at the end of the day, after you do all this right and get with the right people, and the marker or the indicator is the dollar bill. So I'm going to go ahead and just say it's at the top of the list. I've made a lot more money in the last 3 months than I have. It's almost like, if you're a Medicare agent, it's almost like you're in AEP all the time. And sure, you have some slow weeks like you do any other time. I'm not trying to overemphasize that, but number 1's the money, and that's not as specific to working with David, it is, but the 3 reasons I'm going to give lead to the money. So probably number 1 benefit of working with David would just be the knowledge of the industry. He has, I can't imagine who knows more about it, knowledge of the industry and access to the carriers you need. I'm sitting there and I've got a problem because somebody has this health condition, and agents don't realize one little small thing can change what carrier you need to put them in. This one takes allows cigar smoking and the other one doesn't, and one takes a wheelchair use and the other one doesn't. Little stuff. So knowledge of the industry and access to the top carriers would be number 1. Number 2, when you're out there in the field and you've got the facts written down, you're doing your field underwriting to try to figure it out. He's given me wonderful support. So field underwriting support and getting me into the right recommendations to put my client with, I'd say that's number 2. And number 3, that's probably even more important than the money. I'm working with a guy who's honest, and I know that he's extremely passionate about what he does. Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing all the above-named things that we're saying. So working with somebody that's honest and passionate, can't beat that. You can find the smartest guy in the world. If he's not passionate about what he's doing, you're in bad shape. So I got a guy that's smart and passionate. So that's my top 3 benefits. And I'm not known David a long time. I'm not sitting here making stuff up to make him sound good. These are just facts. And if you don't believe me, just give it a try. And if you're not happy, call me, because I'm going to tell you, I got a good thing going. It's because of it. That's my top 3. I may have said 5 benefits right there, but that's what
hey, that's all right. I'll let you.
Okay. All righty.
All right, Michael. Well, this is the conclusion of the interview. I just want to formally thank Michael for taking time out of his busy day to go ahead and explain to me, as well as the audience, what his experience has been at FE Agent Mentor. And again, if you're interested in what Michael has said about selling final expense to Medicare or existing Medicare business, and you want to learn more about how you can do the same, I invite you to visit my website. My website, again, is www.feagentmentor.com. Go there, check out what I have to offer and what I have to say, as well as some existing videos for you to listen to and review. And if you enjoy and find confidence in what you've seen, you'll find the contact box at the top. Just click on that, fill out the information, and then I'll get back to you within the next 24 hours. But again, thank you very much, Michael, for your time, and have a great one. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.